Hey.
Hey.
So yeah, I guess I'm so used to having Alexander actually run the meeting. So this may be kind of messy, but we can just, I guess we can just go through the few topics that have been added to the meeting notes. We agreed the last time that I would release the VS Code extension as is, or as it was at that time. The day after. That didn't happen. I'm still working on it. It's crazy complicated. It takes time. Much more than I expected. But I have, like, last week, 2 days after the last meeting, I guess. So is that 2 weeks ago? I don't remember. I actually went all in on the alternative of actually converting the extension to a TypeScript language server plugin, because that solved so many cases, and it just sadly didn't make sense for me to first pack up and release the half-baked version when this change was coming. It's almost complete. Completions are working, diagnostics are working, refactorings are working. There are some like minor things that I may add again before releasing, like auto imports, because that was essentially done in the half-baked version, and it's not difficult to add. There are so many improvements in this version because we moved over to being a TypeScript language plugin. So now we just out of the box support all sorts of function signature helpers, like where you in VS Code, if you use JavaScript or TypeScript, you can actually see the name of the arguments when you're calling a function and what the arguments should be. You get it's fully integrated with JavaScript and TypeScript now, so you can. That didn't work before because you had the TypeScript language server, which is running behind the scenes in VS Code, and you had the Imba language server running in a whole completely different world, so to speak. So now it's actually running as part of the TypeScript language service that is running in VS Code. So you can import files in JavaScript or TypeScript. You can import Imba files if you refactor something, like if you refactor the name of a function you have in JavaScript or in TypeScript, those renames and refactorings will actually apply to your Imba files as well, and vice versa. So if you change the name of a method or name of an exported variable in Imba, it will also change the locations in TypeScript and JavaScript. You automatically get the quick fixes from the TypeScript diagnostics, like if you misspell the property name, it suggests a different property name, stuff like that. There are so many sweet features coming as a result of moving to the TypeScript language service, but much more importantly, it's actually more stable, because it's we don't deal at all with syncing changes from the file, watching files, watching for your node modules to change, watching for package JSON changes. All of this is happening inside of the TS server. So it's actually really great. I'm sorry that it's taking time to release, but I'm very confident in the approach, and I'm very happy about the current state. So I'm looking forward to getting it out very soon. It also has much more completions for many more concepts. Like it has completions for event modifiers, for CSS modifiers, and it also has documentation and hover information for those. So you can hover over like at LT in CSS, and it actually shows you like what media query that applies to your properties, stuff like that. What else? Yeah, it also, since we're using the TS server, it's also supports automatic type acquisition. So if you install Express, if you use edit packages like that, it will behind the scenes actually download the typings information for that package and give you auto completions. So even if there are a few tweaks remaining, there are some crashes that I'm investigating. It's yeah, to me it feels like it's another level from the previous tooling, and it works just much more reliably. So that's the status of that. I'm really looking forward to getting it out. So I see Eric Tirado is writing in the chat, but I can't see him in the list of participants. Yes, he says features like font face. I also saw Frode mentioning that, like supports and prefers reduced motion, etc. I haven't really thought about that currently. We could just find some decent syntax to support it. We could also, for many of these things which are real media queries, we could actually use like prefers reduced motion. We could also implement them, like add support for them as CSS modifiers directly. So instead of having to, I think that makes the most sense. Maybe add some sort of style modifier that supports arbitrary media queries. Maybe that could make sense.
I had a look and I've implemented the prefer reduced motion. I've managed to implement, because it's like one, it doesn't change, it doesn't take a parameter that changes a lot. Whilst the supports, for example, requires that you can pass in, the feature to check. So that is much more complex.
Yeah, but I guess that's really cool that you implemented that. I guess it should work. It shouldn't be too difficult for me to add support for arbitrary arguments in a style modifier, and then I guess we could implement supports and make it compile to the media query. Yeah, I think that should work.
Yeah, I think so. It works in the same way as media.
Yeah,
that you have a selector first, and then you pass in options into it, or not options. Yes, into it.
So I guess that don't we already support like the not selector? I think it should.
Yeah, the is and not. It looks like it does the same thing, but I couldn't grok how to make that apply.
That's very understandable. But that means that it probably shouldn't be that much work. It might be more challenging with the font face, because that's more of a different concept. Like that's the same as keyframes.
I even tried importing fonts via the HTML, and I tried to do it on an external CSS style sheet and then import that, and it still wouldn't work with the bundler or something. I couldn't figure it out.
Okay. Yeah, that might be because I'd imagine that it should work if you do it via an external style sheet. But as you maybe the bundler just crashes because it tries to resolve the. Were you referring to external font faces like on Google Fonts?
No,
or something?
Internal ones. Like I think external ones will work fine.
Okay.
But like local fonts faces, or like fonts that I upload myself, because I work with some languages that are not standardized in Unicode yet, and the only thing we can do is borrow Unicode from another language and then use a font to display it.
Okay, then maybe it's just a bug with the bundler then that I haven't really I'm not supporting all the needed file extensions or something.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, if that works, I think that will be good enough. I think for a long while.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I think we should be able to get that to work. Yeah. So, do anyone have anything else they want to discuss now. Again, the rest of the issues and progress is kind of in limbo as I get this tooling stuff out. Again, another huge benefit of making it part of the TS service or the TS server is that it should be relatively easy to get it up and running on Monaco and web-based browsers, as long as they use the TypeScript services. Yeah, that would be really, really good.
I have a pull request for the Imba CLI.
Did you say, Frode?
I have a pull request in for the CLI if you run it without any arguments, that it doesn't just throw an error.
That's great. I will. And you tested it with the arguments and stuff?
Yes, but
yes.
Please test it again.
Yeah.
But yes,
well, I won't release it directly anyway. So yeah, that's cool. I'll merge that right away. I looked at it and it looks definitely looks fine. So
I've added a few more issues about little bugs I've found along the way in the last week.
Yeah,
one is an object that is just crashing the server instead of just throwing an error.
Are you? I thought that was referring to crashing the language server in VS Code, but that's probably when you talk about it now. That's probably just because I was so into that. It's actually crashing the server. What?
I don't know if it's. I've been having so many issues with the server on my computer that sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work, and I don't know if it's just me or what.
I'm kind of wondering if it's probably not you, but maybe it has to do with all the weird characters you're working with. Maybe the parser is kind of.
Maybe. But I think this one about the in INTL, the international segmenter, yeah. I think I tried that one with just like a bare bones, and as soon as I threw in that global object, it just went nuts.
But is it crashing? I look at the issues now. Is it crashing? The offending code you pasted, that's actually running on the client, right?
Yeah. Well, this global object is only supported on like Chrome on like some of the latest updates, and what I'm trying to say is that maybe it shouldn't crash the server if I use a browser that is not supported, because that's what it does. If I use Firefox, it will just crash the server on like the local server, right? The local host.
Yeah, but I can't see any reason at all for why it would crash. It shouldn't ever be able to crash the server from visiting the site if it's only client-side stuff. So to me, it sounds more like the asset isn't really compiling correctly, and that's what crashing the server when you try to access when you try to go to the server, it actually tries to pull the client JS, and it seems like it can't find the client JS, probably because it couldn't generate it correctly.
But the weird thing is, if I restart the local server, right, and then I open it only on Google Chrome, I don't have the issue. It just compiles smoothly and renders and everything. But then I open the local host 3000 on Firefox, where that global object is not supported, and the local host will crash. So I don't know. I don't know how to diagnose it better, but.
Is the example small enough that you could send it to, at least to me, like give me access to the repository or something?
Yeah, I could probably make one and just send you a link to it. Yeah,
that would be very interesting to look at. I can't really wrap my head around why that would happen now. So
maybe there's something in my system, in my computer, that just doesn't like something about this local environment, and I've been having so many issues this last week. But yeah, I'll try to make a repository that will cause the issue and send it to you.
Yeah, that's cool. And I will definitely get back to, like, I know there are a ton of outstanding issues now. I kind of get into the mode where I just block out everything until I finish a chunk of work. And right now I'm still knee deep in the tooling. So
Yeah, no problem.
yeah, cool. Anything else, folks?
No. Get
Cool.
on that TypeScript language server.
Yeah, I will try to release it ASAP. So it's really, yeah, it is coming.
Sounds great. So
cool.
All right.
Talk to you later, folks. See you probably in a week.
See ya. Bye.
Yeah.